So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining our breakout session today. We want to hear from you. How can we serve you better? My name is Kaylin Kretschmer and I lead our market insights and engagement team here at Technical Safety BC. And I am very pleased to be joining you today from the unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And I really encourage everyone, I know we're all dialing in from different parts of the province today, so I encourage you to also acknowledge the ancestral territories in which you live, work, and play, and feel free to put that into the chat if you feel comfortable. So I'm really excited to be joined with my team and all of you today for our 45-minute breakout session. Before we get started on what we'll be chatting about today and really digging into some of your questions and comments, I'm just going to go through a few housekeeping items. Today's session, as I mentioned, is going to be in meeting format. So this is really meant to be an open space and dialogue for all of us to connect today. We do have some information that we'd like to share with you, and then we will have a Q&A portion. So we do have the ability for you to go on and off audio. I would just ask that for the first portion, if you could kindly just hit the mute button. You can do that in the far left side of the screen. You can kind of see that there on the slide. Or you can do it directly through your computer or phone. So if you could mute yourself when you're not speaking, that would be great. It just helps minimize a bit of the background noise. There are a few other ways that you're able to also join us today. So we'll be actively using the chat function, which you can find in the bar below. And we have a few folks on our team that will be monitoring that. So if questions come up throughout the session, we'll try to go through them as much as possible. Otherwise, we'll be saving those questions and comments until our Q&A session at the end. And another thing we'll be using today is some polling questions. So this is kind of a fun way to just get a little bit of a pulse check from everyone in the audience on some of the things that we'll be talking about. So the polls will pop up on your screen. You can make your selection and press submit, and then we'll all be able to see the results together. Awesome. So one other thing that I'll just mention today is the first part of the session will be recorded. So if you're interested in accessing that recording after the session today, we will have that available through our website, and we'll be sending more information out later today on how to connect with that. The discussion portion of the session will not be recorded. So that will be our kind of opportunity to all see each other and go off mute and have a little bit more of a conversation. Great. So I'm going to just chat through our agenda today. We're going to start off with a bit of an overview of our philosophy and approach to client and stakeholder engagement here at Technical Safety BC, and how we kind of view our connection with you and the safety system, and how we can involve you in all of the work that we do. I'm going to be providing a bit of an overview of our digital engagement site for those of you who haven't had a chance to connect with us online. And then we'll be talking about some upcoming opportunities that we have for you to get involved in over the next couple weeks and months. And then finally, as I mentioned, we will have an open forum opportunity for you to share questions, share suggestions or thoughts, and to find out a little bit more on how we can serve you better. So with that, I'm just going to introduce our team today. So we have a few folks in the room as well. So we have Meryl, Hannah, and Rachel from the Market Insights and Engagement team. They will be helping to moderate the chat. They'll be watching for any issues that you may be having on the IT or technical side. And then they'll also be able to answer some of the questions that you may have later in the session. I'm also joined today by Janice Lee, who's our Director for Product and Market Leadership. And I am going to hand it over to you, Janice, to kick us off.
Great. Thank you so much, Kaylin, and good morning to everyone. I'm very excited to join this session today. At Technical Safety BC, we value the voice of our clients, industry, stakeholders, associations, and communities in advancing our understanding of the day-to-day realities, needs, and gaps across our safety system. We use these insights gathered to inform how we design, test, and improve our policies, programs, products, and services. Our goal is to involve you early in how our goal is to involve you early at the design stage, as only you can provide us the insights into your business needs and challenges. It is important for us to understand what is needed to support you, be it education, tools, or systems, so that you can interact with us in an easier way. We also value you as important safety partners in identifying and solving technical safety system risks in the province. You bring industry knowledge, wise practices, and innovative ideas for us to explore and solve together. Change does take time, and we do need to prioritize areas where we can provide the most value for our clients and to safety. There is much work to do, and involving our clients and safety partners in our work will lead to a more inclusive, responsive, accessible, and effective safety system in BC. We look forward to continuing to work with you. I will now turn it over to Kaylin to discuss more about the techniques we use to support industry engagement. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Janice, and appreciate you kicking us off. Yeah, like Janice mentioned, really our work is about partnering together with industry and stakeholders across British Columbia in order to improve our policies and safety system. And there's a number of different ways in which we do that. So there are opportunities for us to participate at public and industry events. So you may have seen us at conferences or as guest speakers, and that's our opportunity to connect with diverse audiences across the province and really to share some of the changes that are upcoming or things that are being proposed and that we need your feedback on. We also do a lot of expert panels and advisory groups. So as Janice mentioned, you have that unique subject matter expertise in your area and field, and we want to be able to learn from that and really integrate that into our understanding of some of the emerging safety risks and policy development work that we're doing across all of the technologies that we oversee. We do focus groups and interviews to really understand your experience and some of the things that are upcoming. And then as mentioned today, we are really starting to move more into the space of digital engagement. Now that everyone's kind of a little bit more remote across the province, we're really trying to find ways in order to bring us all together online. So we do have a new engagement site that I'm really excited to be able to share and demo. That really allows us to provide different opportunities for people to share their voice or ask questions kind of when it's convenient for them. Another area that we're also doing quite a bit of work on is in being able to actually pilot and test some of the policies and program work that we're implementing before it actually rolls out across the province. So that's our way of, working out bugs, barriers that you may face in advance of it actually coming into full implementation. So those are a few of the different kind of techniques and ways that we try to involve clients and partners in our work. And I'm just going to jump over to our first poll. So if we could get that up on the screen, just wanting to see who in the audience has actually participated with us on any of those different opportunities before. And you should see that popping up on your screen. You can click any of the options and submit. And we'll just give it another minute or two for everyone to have a chance to respond. Awesome. I'm seeing a pretty good mixture of folks who have participated before and some new folks who have not participated yet, which is great because we will be talking today about a few different ways that you can get involved with us. And while we're just waiting for the results to come in, I'm just gonna, again, just ask for anyone who is not currently muted to just mute your audio. We just hear a little bit of background noise. Great, thank you. Awesome. And I think we have now the results here. About 43% of those of you have actually participated with us in something in the past, which is great. And about 57% haven't yet participated before. So that's really great to know. And we hope today really provides you with an overview of how to actually access some of those opportunities. And I'll just share that on the screen. Great. So I'm going to share a little bit about one of the projects that we're currently working on. So this is something that's currently in action, and how we're actually integrating those different elements into our design work. So some of you may or may not be aware that there are some proposed regulatory changes in the province of British Columbia related to amusement devices and rides. And so we are currently working with our industry partners across the amusement device industry to really help us inform what those changes will look like. So we have assembled an advisory group, which began last year at the end of 2021. And those included representatives from across different kind of areas of the amusement device industry, as well as rides and devices, different types of rides and devices. And that group comes together and has really helped us understand a little bit more about the day-to-day realities within the industry and some of the different considerations that we should be looking at as we design the implementation and rollout of the proposed regulatory changes. So a couple insights that we've already heard so far is really around making it easy. So there is a new requirement to potentially establish or a proposed requirement to establish a safety plan. And what we heard from the industry is really that making it easy through clear guidelines and directions and checklists and templates will really make it easy what Technical Safety BC's expectations are, what the requirements are, and how to really make it easy to be in compliance with those. Another opportunity that we identified through our advisory panel was really around providing early opportunities for education to meet the responsible person requirement. And so making sure that folks have a really clear understanding of what those responsibilities are and who in their organization is actually best suited to serve that role. We're also involving the wider industry as well. So we had a number of town hall sessions last year where anyone in the amusement device industry or anyone who is interested in kind of what's happening within the industry and changes are able to attend a live digital session to learn about those changes and ask questions. So we'll also be hosting another one of these town hall sessions on June 22nd, and we'll put the link in the chat below if you're interested in registering or finding out more information. So really encourage you to check that out. We're also doing broader digital engagement. So as you'll see on the link in the chat, you're able to provide input to us online. So you can ask questions, you can share comments, you can look at some of the materials that we've already posted and kind of do that at your own time and leisure. And you can also interact with others in your industry. So you have visibility on what other people are saying, you're able to comment or like on some of those opportunities as well. And then finally, another way that we'll be implementing this philosophy and approach to this program is really through trial and testing. So we know that there's some new elements of the regulatory oversight program that we'll be implementing for the industry that are brand new. And so we really want to be able to test on a smaller scale what that process looks like in order to identify potential barriers or challenges and address and correct those before we actually implement the full process or requirements into effect for the entire province. So that's our opportunity to really identify bugs and other ways that we can make those improvements to make it easier. Great. So next slide, please. We're also going to do another poll here today to find out how many of you have actually used our engagement site? So we did put some links in the chat. Feel free to go and check it out yourself. I'm just going to provide a demo in a few minutes, but please feel free to make a selection on the chat. Great. And I'm just seeing the results starting to come in. Looks like a number of you have actually had a chance to already see our site, which is great, about 54%. A few of you are not quite sure, and there are, yeah, a few people who have not actually seen the site before, which is great. Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to do a quick demo of our site. This is our opportunity to really show you how to register for the site and to look at some of the different tools that we have in order for you to actually provide your input. So this is what the landing page of the site looks like. If you scroll down, you can see opportunities that are featured. So we have one right now that is coming up around climate change. If you scroll down, you can see all of the different active projects that we currently have going on, as well as projects that we previously consulted on, and you're still able to access those materials as well. If you scroll to the very bottom, you're also able to look at projects by topic or technology. So if you were just kind of interested in everything electrical, for example, you would be able to kind of search that and see all of the different projects that are relevant to the electrical technology. In order to provide input, you are going to have to actually register for the site. And so I'm just going to show you how to do that. So the registration button should pop up automatically when you try to provide input on something, or you can actually find it in the far right corner. Some of these questions are mandatory, so really providing a login username. So we recommend not using your first and last name. This just helps it be a little bit less personally identifiable. And we do also require your email address and password. So that's kind of the minimum requirement for registering for the site. We also have a few other questions that just helps us understand a little bit more about you and how we can serve you better. So this kind of lists what your primary role or responsibility would be within your industry, as well as the different industries that you work in. And you can select multiple different types if you work across, for example, gas and also boilers. We're also interested in what part of the sector you work in, because we know there are differences between the residential, commercial, and industrial sectors, and also the different regional areas that you work within. And then we finally also have an optional question around your postal code and age. And again, these questions are really intended to try to understand a little bit more about who our safety partners and clients are, and how we can really tailor our services and what your needs are, because we know that everyone has kind of slightly unique needs and interests depending on where they're at in the province and the type of work that they do. So I'm just going to provide a quick overview of how you can actually participate in one of the projects. And I'm going to use the electrical code as our example. So last year we consulted on the adoption of the 2021 Canadian Electrical Code. And so you'll be able to see here that we have a little bit of an overview of what that consultation is about. There's some links to find out more information from the Canada Standards Association, so you're able to kind of access additional information. You can also share this on your social media if you're interested. And you can see kind of the life cycle here on the far right of the different steps of the process that we went through. So from kind of an initial advisory group with industry all the way to doing that broader consultation to understand what the impact of those changes may be for BC specifically. And then if you scroll down here, you're able to look at related projects as well as all the project documentation. So this includes all of the consultation materials. So if you wanted to understand more about the changes and what those impacts look like, or if you wanted to understand a little bit more about what the actual review process was, and then finally what we actually heard from industry, and that's kind of based on some of the recommendations that we also submitted to the province. And here is where you can kind of see some of the different tools that you can provide your input. So we had some quick polls where people were able to provide a little bit of insight into what their role within the industry was. And then we also had some discussion forum questions where people were able to do a little bit more of a deep dive into talking about what those key impacts were. So I'll just go to one of those forum questions. This one is actually closed, but you're able to see some of the comments that were posted. So you can see that people were able to provide kind of a detailed overview of some of the concerns or opportunities that they saw. You're also able to actually comment on other people's comments, which is kind of unique. Previously, we very much focused on survey research where you're not really able to interact with other people within your industry. So this has been a really great opportunity to kind of create an online community of folks who are able to provide that input and guidance to Technical Safety BC. So I will just stop sharing the site, but I'll encourage anyone who has questions to please put them in the chat. We'd love to go through any details on how to use the site or any questions that you have when we get to the discussion forum. And I think I'll just conclude by saying we do have some additional opportunities for you to get involved in our work. So definitely encourage you to take a look at the engagement site. We post all of our opportunities there online. We also have a few live sessions and events that are coming up. So we have the industry town hall for the amusement industry coming up on June 22nd. We also have a climate risk and technical safety workshop that we'll be hosting on June 23rd. And really the purpose of that session is to collect insight from all of you on the impacts of climate change that you're seeing in your region and sector and how that's affecting technical equipment and safety. So we're really excited to host that session and to hear from all of you. We also have a few opportunities that are specific to contractors if you're part of the licensed contractor community. Right now, we are consulting on some regulation changes to contractor advertising requirements. So we just concluded a series of focus groups and interviews, and we will be continuing to have the digital engagement site open until June 6th. So we'll put the links in the chat, but I really encourage you to go take a look at what those changes are. And if you are able to provide input, we really encourage you to do so. And then finally, we will be hosting a discovery workshop in the next few months, really to understand the contractor journey. So we know that licensed contractors are really kind of a rock of the safety system and provide a really important touch point for industry. And so we really want to be able to understand more about what that journey looks like and different opportunities across that journey to improve the value and experience that contractors have with us. So we'll be looking to you to really provide us with some of those opportunities and insights that will lead into some short-term as well as some medium and long-term changes. Great. So I see that we're just at 10:40. I think we're gonna head over into the discussion. I'm not sure if we have had any questions in the chat, but maybe I'll just do a quick check-in first, and then we'll give everyone the opportunity to go off mute and on camera if you would like. So we'll stop the recording at this time.